has the Great Recession permanently changed how consumers spend? Every day, the media feeds us a daily diet of seemingly contradictory consumer trends that in the end rarely make a bit of difference. 1 minute, consumers are radically cutting back. The next, Apple is announcing $3 billion in iPad sales in 90 days. We are consistently being told that now we live in a world of brands, but some of the most recognizable brands in the world have been the ones who suffered the most in these tough economic times. It is clear that the Great Recession that started in 2006 has had some profound effects upon the American consumer landscape, and the differences between winners and losers has never been more stark. What is really going on with the American consumer, and what does it mean for businesses of all sizes in the years ahead? Truth through science. Instead of the usual recipe of anecdotes, conjecture, or statistically inaccurate pop research, we chose to use science to get to the real truth. More to the point, we studied 800,000 people in 3 countries over 10 years and looked at 2,000 measures of what they bought, why they bought it, and how that changed over time, especially as the economy spiraled down. The results were startling. It is clear that there are 2 fundamentally distinct types of consumers with extremely different reasons behind what they buy and why they buy it. How distinctly different? They might as well be on 2 different planets. Each planet contains people of all ages, incomes, and social groups. It turned out that these factors are nowhere near as important as typically expected. They're not really indicators of consumers' propensity and motivation to spend. In fact, over the 10 years of the study, not one man or woman moved from one planet to the other, no matter how much his or her income went up or down. It turns out that it's a core set of what people value that drives consumption, far more than any other factors. What is crystal clear is that the 2 planets couldn't be more different, and in this economy, they are getting further and further apart. The people on the first planet are driven by the deal, while those on the other planet are motivated primarily by the search for the extraordinary, a true sense of the one and only, and demonstrate a clear willingness to pay for it. Just as crucially is the fact that as the economic conditions worsened, any business stuck in the space between these 2 planets struggled more and more. On the deal planet, we have a huge number of people, 52% of the consuming population. This planet is pretty easy to understand, as the evidence clearly shows. People here are motivated primarily by the typical factors we are trained to expect. Statistically, 3 dominant things drive the decision for these people to buy: price, features, and status. We call this Planet Traditional. As the economy spiraled down on Planet Traditional, spending money came to be seen as unsafe. So naturally, traditionals of all ages and incomes drastically cut back on their discretionary spending, only venturing out when the deal was so good they could not turn it down. And when the deals got pulled back, the traditionals put away their wallets and waited for better deals to return. The recession has caused the focus upon price, features, and status to measurably intensify. Traditionals are no longer just looking for a good deal. They're going to need an extraordinary deal if they're going to spend their money. Offers, closeouts, and deep discounts have increasingly become the currency of Planet Traditional. The evidence proves this new behavior is very likely to become permanent. You do not want to have the second best offer on Planet Traditional, as anyone who's ever tried to compete with Walmart has found out. To the traditional, the deal is everything, whether that comes from the best price, most features, highest status, or increasingly, all 3. Then, there is the other planet, where life is a little bit more complex. The individuals that live here make their buying decisions on a measurably broader range of factors. We have named these people NEOs, for New Economic Order. The evidence shows that the economic importance of this group is surging. NEOs research, shop, and buy in significantly different ways to traditionals, and the companies who understand them have often flourished despite the economic turmoil in the country. For a NEO, while price remains a factor, it is often not the most important in the decision to buy. They need to feel a connection with the product or service and implicitly see it as a representation of their own individuality. As a result, they place a far greater premium on a whole range of things that often wouldn't even register for someone on Planet Traditional. Some of the most significant of these include design. NEOs place a high value not only on how things look, but how that design translates into how the product works. Authenticity. They want the real deal, no substitutes. And who they buy from is just as important as what they buy. Provenance. NEOs place a high value upon things that are unique and individual, with a real sense of being the one and only. Discovery. The whispered secret is far more valuable than something mainstream to the individual who lives on planet NEO. They want to find things for themselves, not have them shoved at them by aggressive marketing. They value new experiences, and they want things that are on the edge, and they're the first to try new ideas, new concepts, and new places. When NEOs discover things that are a match for their personal values, they spend freely. In fact, 93% of all the people who could be classified as big spenders are NEOs. As the economy crashed, a remarkable thing happened. NEOs became more NEO. While they cut back on things that didn't really matter to them, their expenditures upon products and services that truly connected actually went up. The most obvious example of this is, of course, everyone's poster child, Apple. Their cutting-edge, uniquely designed products and anti-corporate style are a natural fit for the NEO, and their sales skyrocketed at full price all the way through the recession. On planet NEO, however, there is a natural tendency towards smaller, more individual companies, as it's easier to connect with companies and people than corporations and mission statements. As you start to understand that the world in front of you is made up of two very different planets, one increasingly NEO and the other ever more traditional, examples of thriving NEO businesses are everywhere. Jim Denovan's Outstanding in the Field reconnects people to the food on their plate by hosting incredible dinners in the actual fields it was grown in. The craft brewing industry has seen sales rise 11% this year, and Ken Grossman's Sierra Nevada Brewing is expanding, not through mass marketing, but by the stories passed from stout scholar to IPA maven of the outstanding hops he brings in from New Zealand to make sure his brews are always fresh, even in the depths of winter. Chip Wilson's Lululemon is growing exponentially through an authentic commitment to yoga that their customers can connect to. What may look like trends to the untrained eye is actually companies and individuals that have found a way to connect with the very consumers who place a real value upon the unique, the individual, and the authentic, and are willing to pay for it. So, when you hear one day that consumers are cutting back, and the next that they are buying more local produce, personal services, or cool technology, you aren't going mad. What you are actually hearing are the stories of two very different planets and the people who live on them. The evidence is clear. Consumers have always spent their money based upon what they value, but the combination of the worst economic conditions since the 1930s, technology, and the changes to our society are causing them to behave in a way far more fundamentally aligned with those values. The gap between these two planets is getting wider, leading to an increasingly polarized consumer landscape. NEOs and Evolvers are responsible for 77% of consumer spending and almost every dime of profit that businesses make. In fact, their spending adds up to an economy within an economy. Over on Planet Traditional, the downward pressure on costs and margin will remain relentless. But on Planet NEO, things look very different. There are still many gaps to be filled. For example, as yet, there is no NEO Bank, NEO Energy Company, or NEO Telecommunications Company. The holes are everywhere. Understanding the unmet demands of NEOs reveals opportunities for growth in sectors where previously it seemed that none was possible, creating millions of jobs on American soil that can never be offshored. When you realize that it's really the consumer that drives the success of businesses, you will see that the unmet demands of individualistic and powerful NEOs creates a blueprint for building a new and sustainable economic engine capable of powering America out of the current crisis and through the next century whatever it throws up. Such is the power of the NEO economy that just a small increase in the discretionary spending on planet NEO can create a permanent increase in the growth of the entire country, lifting us from an uncertain future to one of rising prosperity again. The hallmarks of the NEO economy are all around you, but its potential has barely been scratched.